Welcome to our India Employer Forum next digital event. This is the next episode of webinar wherein we have come up with an interesting topic this time. Uh, this is actually jobs or skills, how this is actually shaping up the employment forum. Now, in order to have a conversation, we do have two of the industry experts with us, Mr. Dileep Khandelwal from Amara Batteries. We have Mr. Priyadarshi Pradhan from Yazaki. Great welcoming you both, sir. Now, just to give a quick introduction, my name is Subburathinam. I'm going to be the moderator for this particular session. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer for TeamLease. Before we get on to the conversation, I think we can actually learn a few details more about from Mr. Dileep and Mr. Priyadarshi. Mr. Dileep, over to you.
Sure. Thank you, Subbu. Very good morning to all. I am right now associated with Amara Group, and I am working with this organization in the capacity of Head of Talent Acquisition, covering 7 different companies spread across 17 different business lines. We are largely into the services of manufacturing and projects. I come with about 2 decades of experience across varied industry, starting with consulting, then manufacturing, and within manufacturing, it's again pretty diversified. The auto components, food processing, cement, and that has really helped me create an very diversified prospects about the business and the workforce. And I hope with this experience, I will be able to contribute some of my thoughts around the topic that we have for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Dileep. Thank you so much. Yeah, Mr. Priyadarshi.
Thank you, Subbu, and thanks, Dileep, and welcome. Thank you for welcoming me. And first of all, in these kind of a forum that we discuss about industry, it falls short whatever we bring into the platform. But let me just introduce myself before we get into the subject. I have completed my post-graduation, being a first gold medalist in human resource management from Utkal, and that was in the batch 2001. And post that, I started my career in biotech industry, and after that, I have been working with some of the US and UK-based organizations which are into resource management. And after that, I moved into manufacturing, which is producing propeller shafts, gears, and VTCs, vertical turning centers. And that's how I moved into automotive industry, say about 17 years back. And after automotive industry of gears, which is a complex engineering environment, I moved to wiring harness industry. Right now, I'm associated with Yazaki India Private Limited, which is a Japanese organization. We have presence in 46 countries all across the globe, and I'm heading Indian human resource function for the entire Pan India, being the head of HR for the country. And the experience, if you see what I have gone throughout this journey of 24-25 years, is I think I still feel I'm a student in the field. So I am looking forward to have a cross learning today also in this conversation that we have. So thank you, Subbu, once again for inviting me. Thank you.
Thank you, Priyadarshi. It's an absolute delight and honor to have both of you for our session today. Great. Before we get on to the topic, maybe few interesting facts about India. It's really promising. We have a vision, India at 100, and the next 25 years is absolutely promising. I don't think nobody will say that, okay, we are in a wrong time in India. This is the best time to be in India. The kind of leveraging that's actually happening in every form, whether it is actually a formalization or a urbanization or maybe a financialization, everything is taking its momentum and it is actually picking up. Now, when we have this and the economy is actually growing at a rate of average of 7%, see, the whole world is actually growing at 3%, but then India is actually growing at average of say 7%. And I don't think this is going to slow down in the near future. Now, by having investments, by building factories, by building plants, everything will grow. But one of the important factors that what we miss is the talent part. Now, without talent, obviously, today, for example, everything that we set is actually, we know this is the X growth that we actually want to attain. And every organization will also have a similar kind of a focus to it. With that focus, we also design what kind of a people that we need to have. And most of the time, the first challenge starts in over there. And fortunately, we have both of the industry experts from manufacturing domain. I call this as what goes in as an input. This is taken from the manufacturing principle only. What goes in as an input actually comes out as an output. If you have the right people, our strategy is going to be successful and we'll also achieve our organization objective and thereby helping the industry and also the economy of the country. Now, with this, I would like to start with the first question, a basic question. Everybody says that, okay, there is a demand supply gap. Now, when I say demand supply, okay, the demand is there, but then supply is not up to my expectations. Mr. Dileep, do you also witness this? Maybe we want to pick up your thoughts, then we'll actually get on. I'm sure this has a correlation to the point that is actually discussing on the skill part.
Absolutely. See, it is sometime, when I sit back and think or kind of look at such, scenarios where everyone generally talk about the demand, supply, and skill gap. And I wonder, as this I've been hearing, and people are also kind of talking about it since the time I started my career, right? And it is something sometimes amaze me. Maybe this is from a perspective that, okay, I mean, the industry is growing year on year, and therefore the demand supply gaps are consistent, right? But sometimes it also makes me think, but why it is so? Why we have been facing these issues since this many years? And I'm sure this is been talked about not even for last two decades, as I am aware of, but it should be the scenario much more ahead of that. When I say that, I also believe, and as I have experienced so far, while the demand is there, I would also say that there is a supply, but the supply of right talent with required skills is the gap, right? So that makes us have the perception which is building around demand supply gap, but actually the gap is around the skill. The supply of skilled talent is what is the kind of challenge right now that we are facing, and this is the challenge we have since many years. So while in industry is growing, people are getting trained, but still we feel the gap is basically being consistent, and that is where there are initiatives which are coming into the picture from the side of government, from the industry side, and there has to be some point where we can say that the demand and supply are balanced at this point, and we all are working towards that. The if you look at the Amara group, we are very diversified group, and we are into the different sector within the group, starting from the like auto components to food processing to projects, power projects, civil infra, electronics, and we ourselves has been experiencing, and the kind of people we meet, while the supply is huge, we are meeting a lot of people, but ultimately those who could able to come in, that we find they can come and kind of contribute to the organization's requirements are again limited. So I would say the supply is available, but the right supply is where there is a gap. So that's what I feel.
Thank you, Dileep. I think with all your diversified industries in focus, and if you're actually still facing it, then it's a point of matter that, okay, it's everybody. Maybe I'll take some views from Priyadarshi as well.
Yeah, Subbu, first of all, you said manufacturing industry, it's all about input and output. I'll add another word to it, that is throughput.
Okay.
So which I learned when I was studying in IIM. And throughput is something which should actually tell you, when material is getting into the premises of a particular factory, and the raw material converts into finished good and gets delivered. So what is that productivity that you count? So that requires a lot of deliberation, if you see. So coming back to the subject of demand supply, if you see, I was going through a NASSCOM's report, wherein if you see the demand supply gap, if you compare between countries right now, the US is having the highest demand supply gap. It's about 34 to 36%. So the gap is about 36%, followed by UK, which is about 30 to 32%. As opposed to these two countries, if you talk about India, the gap is much more lesser, if you see. So experts globally, they position India in a way, they say that India's gap is about 25%, which is going to stay between 24 to 27% in next 2 to 3 years time. So this kind of analysis, which was done by the experts, which means that we are a powerful supplier of talent, not just for India, for other countries also. So what is going to happen in next couple of years or 3 to 4 years of time? Like you said, India is at a shining moment right now. So it's a hot cake right now for the entire globe, if you see. So when the demand supply gap is about 25%, and which is as a much better state, if you see, as compared to other countries, and China is also at that level. So in that scenario, the supply where it is abundance, if I talk about India as a country, will have multiple variety of resources. If you talk about the technical skills, if you talk about the collaboration of industries altogether. If I talk about automotive industry, let's take an example of that. It is now contributing about 7.1% to the entire GDP. Okay, so with that kind of a contribution, if you see the kind of supply that I'm having right now, the IITs that we had earlier, the IITs that we have now, the number of IIMs we had about 24 years back. Now the government is putting IIM colleges in almost all the states. So the objective is to create more employable resources. So when I'm using the word employable, last couple of weeks back, I was in a college and I was emphasizing on the word called employability. So what Dileep was also telling, the supply is there, the right kind of talent. If you say, I'll just add one word called employability. So what kind of employability these people are having to fit into the kind of demand that is there in the industry? I think that is the subject that industry must focus on, and that is where we are doing it. If you talk about my organization right now, we are also facing similar kind of challenges. Okay, a very small example: last year we took about 6,500 interviews, and we offered about 795 guys. So that's the kind of ratio of interview to selection, interview to offer is happening. When the industry is very choosy and particular about what they are going to offer to. Yeah.
No, interesting
So
fact.
that's my viewpoint.
Interesting. I think you touched upon one on the global comparison part. Second, in terms of the percentage of sheer amount of population that actually applies, and then what kind of a offer that we provide, that also is about what? Almost about 10-12%. So that actually speaks about the volume of people who actually applies and then not getting selected. For a moment, I'm not actually looking at the people who are getting selected, but the people who are not getting selected on that. Now, there are 2-3 things that I can actually correlate. One, in terms of while we are still from the percentage wise on the global side, we are still low, but the actual value side, because of our sheer population, the values are actually, the number is big. The percentage is smaller, but the number is actually bigger. Now, in fact, one of the recent conversation with one of the largest auto OEM that when I was actually talking about it, we gone with from 20 years back. If you have to be an automobile, you should actually be a mechanical engineer, and then you'll have to be a supply for the factory. Today, with the advent of connected car technology that is coming in and that is slowly becoming one more major avenue of a business within the automobile, the experience and expertise what they are actually looking for is, okay, somebody with the mechanical but with the understanding of full stack of technology products. So then it becomes like a dual combination. Oh, the person should understand about all the IC and everything of an automobile, but also the similar kind of a thing on the technology side angle as well. So I think interesting point, Priyadarshi. Before I go to Dileep, one next question, just adding on to this. Do you think the universities or the institutions play a role in giving a right supply for the industry, Priyadarshi? Because with changing demand, so much that is happening now, and you yourself highlighted it, what's the role that they will have to play onto this?
See, very interesting question. Let me tell you how currently it is happening and how it should be ideally. And should is a very dangerous word, and actually you should jump into actionable items. What we say, industries are now actually participating with the academia. So the bridge between industry academia is very, very important. And then who will take the step? Now, government is taking a lot of steps in that. If you see the recent budget, if you analyze that, there are a lot of schemes that have been declared by the government. So there are a lot of clarity that has to yet to come. But I can give you several examples of government schemes, how it is helping. Now, in the course curriculum also, now they have industry boards. They are inviting industry guys to be a part of their course designers, curriculum designers, where many industry experts are being part of it. So if I talk about wiring harness as a subject or gear manufacturing as a subject, it's very, very complex things. If you talk about because this differs from person to person. Then electrification of vehicles are right now happening. So if you talk about EV as a subject, electric vehicles. So academics are now trying to cope up with the speed. So within the boundary of a classroom, it is very, very difficult to understand. So now they are reducing their classroom experiences, and they're trying to increase the internship areas, the practical exposure. So I think the efforts are going on in right direction. What I have been observing in the last 20 years, and now I think we are on the right track. However, the three entities that I just named, the industry, the academics, and the government, are coming forward together and trying to make a right path for it. I think we're in the right direction. Just need to speed up certain things.
Yeah, I certainly agree with the point, because in the recent budget, there is a specific line item for skill program which has been launched, where it has to be worked along with the institutions. But somehow I feel that, okay, it is slightly late. Maybe with this could have been actually fast tracked. Maybe I'll pick up views from Dileep as well, because with so many diversified business angle, maybe your insights onto this, Dileep. Maybe any specific initiatives already somebody's already doing it. Is it successful from your experience?
Sure. See, in fact, it is something similar lines to what Mr. Pradhan was talking about. The industry and the institute has to work together. There is no other go. Definitely to fill this skill gap that we are seeing. And while there are a lot of programs that are being happening from initiated from the institute side as well as from the industry side, but still I feel there is a lot of gap and there's a lot more to do. In fact, there are many initiatives are happening that I see is with the private universities, where there are investment plan from both the ends, from the institutes and the industry, to impart specific training on the technology or the specific skill for those students who are already undergoing the courses. but I still see a lot of gap in terms of the like government funded universities and institutes. I think and a lot of talent that comes from those institutes as well, right? Definitely, you have the NITs and IITs, but I think they are not enough. The supply from those institutes are actually not going to fulfill the demand from the industry, and every industry cannot afford those talent for the various role that they have. So it is a must need of the hour, beyond, in fact, what Pradhan was talking about, the contribution of the industry in terms of designing the course and the curriculum. Beyond that, there has to be like many more things that to be done. We have initiated vertical within HR, which we are seeing as university relations, and we are specifically working in building the talent pipeline, which can address all our future need in terms of the need of the talent.
Great, Dileep. In fact, this particular point, when I met one of the vice chancellor of the university, he also highlighted it. Today, out of the 6 million enterprises in the country, hardly 300 plus enterprises are actually working backward with the universities and then creating a curriculum for them to actually get the right talent supply. I'm happy that, okay, yours is also one among them, because the more you are actually getting in, let me give a simple example. I was interacting with one of the electronics company, which has set up a huge facility in Krishnagiri in Tamil Nadu. They were actually saying that, okay, Subbu, electronics is something new in India. So today, for example, automobile, it's just like, okay, it's a 3 decade old now. IT is a 2 plus decade old now. So things are actually curriculum, everything has been set. When something is new, maybe a electronics manufacturing or a fabrication of electronics, the semiconductor part, currently we are actually having a challenge, and the supply that is coming from universities, or the talent pool that is coming out, is not having an impact. So yeah, I agree with this, and this is a great point. And when we actually work backward, we actually custom build and design and then create something that will be a future fit talent that is actually coming for our workforce. Dileep, I have a interesting question here. Most of the time, we find the skill actually at the, okay, yeah, this is exactly what as the role that is required, and we actually develop. One of the contributor for skill gap is also the infant attrition. When I say infant attrition, people who come and then who leave in first 30 days or max 90 days. Some organization takes 180 days as well. And one of the attribute that actually comes in is, okay, they are not able to cope up. Either the understanding of the part as well, or they may be doing better in this training part, but somehow that is actually, so is there a kind of a solution that you have thought through or you are already implementing? What exactly is actually causing this, and how this can be, because this is one of the important factors that is actually coming out when somebody is entering into the world, in the workforce. Okay, how it is, how people are actually leaving in the first 30 days or 90 days or in the 180 days. So do you find a correlation to the skill gap, or is there something that peculiar that you have identified?
Sure. There are multiple reasons that we have observed. In fact, we have been analyzing, and we have faced these issues largely at the talent that we recruit at the entry level in the shop floor,
Yeah.
right? And that is where the like recruitment of those talent is continuous for us. We are doing recruitment every week across our locations. What we felt, one of the reason, the right way of onboarding them has been one major cause beyond the skill gaps. Because once you are able to take somebody inside, I think at that level where they have to start from the entry point, the like responsibility of developing these like required skill is with the organization. But if they are really living beyond any of those reasons, it is basically the way you are onboarding them. And we have found in our analysis that beyond these skill gaps where the individual feel, okay, this I cannot do it, which is also there in some percentage of around 2.5 to 3% of the total attrition that we have faced in that initial 3 months time. But beyond that, the way they have been onboarded, and the initial 3 months, how they are feeling and experiencing is actually important. And I don't think there we are seeing the reason being the skill gap. And we now kind of consciously work on those areas. And there has been specific program called Embrace has been designed. And this is the time the individual goes through a structured framework of induction where they experience the organization system, culture, people. They also get to know what is shop floor, because those are the first time employees from various pockets of this location around our facility. So they get to understand the industry as how it works and what is expected out of you, and give them that kind of comfort. Amara is also, we run our own skill development center, and those initiatives really help us kind of tighten those screws of leakage where it is was the case earlier. But now I think we are like reasonably good on those grounds. So in the early attrition is definitely not due to this skill gap, is our experience.
Okay, great. Thank you, Dileep. I think your given the straight answer for us, which has a correlation to the skill part. Okay, fine. Now people are not leaving because of the skill gap, which means our recruitment process is right and onboarding is right. The moment we actually now start grooming them, that's where maybe till date kind of a programs where like, okay, manual mode of induction, coaching, on the job training, etc., etc. With digital transformation that's happening throughout or maybe I can actually say digital transformation is the current progress we are in that kind of an era now. How do you find that maybe we have so much of L&D tools, programs? For example, somebody who has come in now, do we have a clear path for them that, okay, in the next 12 months, what they have to actually get groomed, and are they using the digital platforms effectively? What are your experience from that, Dileep?
Yeah, in fact, digitization is one of key objective across our functions within the group, and every business is working on those lines. Specifically, when it comes to the learning process, we have our internal LMS, and which takes care of all planned and unplanned training programs that are meant for the people, again, across the board. It is pretty handy, and this has really helped us. Technology beyond using that on the desktop, the mobile usage is something which really helping us, and anyone can go through those assigned programs while they're in the transit, during their breaks. Some short programs are there for about 10-15 minutes, some awareness programs. So I think we have been trying to optimize. I cannot say we are using it at the best, but I think so far we have been optimizing, and we are continuously working towards achieving best from those space. In fact, we have also started working, bringing in some of those AI tools which can enable this process, largely to kind of cover the workforce which is working in the shop floor. So it's really helping us, and I think that is a boon for the industry in terms of training people. Technology is definitely a boon for us.
No, it's great to see that you already embedded the AI technology on the learning platform for you to actually upskill the existing, and specifically in the shop floor people. Because today, when we actually differentiate permanent employees, it's by default they come up with a certain qualification. But when it is actually in the shop floor and we have already integrated technology, it's great to see that. Maybe I'll just take some views from Priyadarshi as well. Are you also experiencing the similar kind of a thing, or do you have any kind of a change of points, views in it, Priyadarshi?
Yeah, I'll tell you, attrition, infant attrition is a very big problem in the industry, let me tell you. And basically, I agree to some extent that it may not be always for a skill gap, but there is something in the recruitment process also. If you see, there are many times we hire people, we means as an industry, hire people just to solve a current problem. So let's say an engineer is being hired for a quality department, and probably it is expected that that engineer will solve some quality related issues. a manager is hired for a sales role, he will solve some kind of sales related problems or task or whatever it is. But many of the organizations fail to understand that the same engineer will become a manager, the same manager will become a vice president. These are the aspirations people bring in. Okay. So the career aspects, if it is not very clear to the people when they're joining in the organization and they sense it in the first 3 months, 6 months time, then they decide to leave. Okay, and that's one. And culture part is also, maybe the fitment part is another area. Otherwise, in a matter of 1 hour interview or maybe a couple of interviews or 3 4 interviews, if somebody is being decided to inducted to a particular business and this person is not having a good fitment in the organization, that means there is something wrong in the entire process. Okay. So I do agree. So here in our case, what happens is right now our workforce is about 21, 22,000. Okay. And it's a huge workforce to manage. So if you talk about our blue collar employees, the attrition levels are too high. And here Indian laws also allows you to have some people as permanent, some people are contract. You cannot have them for a longer period. So in those cases, having said that, you have limitations in having people train them and then they're leaving you in certain period of time. So what we have done is we have set up LCs in all our plant. Those are learning centers. We do not deploy them to the soft floor unless and until they complete the entire period in LC in the learning center. So our learning centers are designed in collaboration with our Japanese counterpart. It is a simulation of what they will be doing in the soft floor. So after 7 days of learning center, they will be moving into another on-the-job training, and after on-the-job training, they are handed over to their respective. And if someone is not then comfortable in having the job, they are free to take a decision of moving away. But if it is about a white collar employee, it is a very conscious decision of leaving one organization and choosing you as their career perspective, or career prospects. They see career prospects in the next organization. If they don't see that, then probably they try to leave the organization. So my viewpoint is attrition is something which is going to stay. Okay, it is never going to be zero. But what a healthy attrition is all about, that we have to think. And another viewpoint I would like to add here. If you see, I was reading a report which says that 67% of our working population will be about age 45 to 55 in next 5 years time. So that means this set of people, about 67% of people will be retiring in less than next 8 years. Okay. So the next batch would be taking over. So people who are getting inducted, and then again, we all talk about 4 5 generations working in the same company. I have seen most of the time why people leave the organization is one policy fitting into all these kind of generations may not work at some point in time. A requirement of a GET, a requirement of a person who is going to retire in next 3 years time is completely different. But in organization, they have the same policy which applies to everybody in the organization. A mid-career person, somebody who is about to retire, somebody is having 10 years, or somebody is having 1 year of experience. I think being in HR, we have to design and see how the policies also fit to the employees for a mutual benefit. It's not that just to design something which is favorable to each section of the employees, but mutually it has to benefit. So there are several things, Subbu, I think, which impacts a person to take a decision to leave the organization. So I'll not get more into details, but a lot of thoughts can be discussed on this subject.
Yeah. No, true.
And about digital, yeah, about digital, transformation or digitalization. See, we talked about Industry 4.0 since long, and we have been talking about Industry 5.0 also. I see, these are all good things to have, but what matters is the adaptability. How are we prepared as an organization to adapt this? Or just buying a software and then saying that we have implemented really doesn't work in the industry. Most of the time, what happens is with excitement, we prepare a team, we bring in best softwares, and then we implement it. I have seen in many organizations it happens. So what happens at the end of the day is instead of the software working for us, we work for the software. Just because it is implemented, you have to run it. Okay, so my viewpoint is we have to really create a team who are enthusiastic about this. We have to create awareness. We have to tell them how this is going to simplify your work. Then this industry 4.0 is going to happen. Industry 5.0 is going to happen. So if you ask me, our digital transformation journey is going absolutely in a great motive. And our SAP has been transferred to SAP HANA, and of course we are into in HR also. We are into multiple standalone softwares which we have been using right from uh, the employee life cycle, recruitment till retirement. But I would say very honestly, what I have seen in the industry is there is a huge opportunity of improving in adapting this whatever is available to make your work more easy.
Great
That's my
insights.
viewpoint.
In fact, two critical takeaways. One, in terms of the attrition part you touched upon, and then we moved on to the current part of okay how the digital transformation is actually touching upon it. Um, I, I read it somewhere where 100% retention or a 0% attrition, both are not physically, literally not possible. And if you actually start looking at it, whom do you want to retain? Whether do you want to retain a person for what? You are not retaining the person for somebody who is just because the person has spent 5 years. No, you are retaining the person for the person who is possessing that particular skill. Because that's exactly where the point actually comes in. That actually touches upon your retention and attrition, and it balances it out. Because at times we'll also need to have some kind of a forceful attrition in the form of bell curve and other things that gets fitted in. Okay. Now, an interesting question towards this. Now, when we know that okay, this is what it is, how do we actually plan proactively to identify the skill gap? Maybe from your experience, so what are the methodologies that somebody can actually adopt so that we don't land up into the trouble of okay, retention and attrition, the two far extremes? Because when somebody is not being groomed and promoted, the person naturally attracts. When somebody is actually having possessing all the skills, and if this person actually moves out, it's a loss for the organization. So if we take two steps backward, what kind of a proactiveness that we can actually do to identify these gaps? Maybe your experience will help everyone, Priyadarshi.
Very interesting and very important question you have put across. Let me tell you what I think and what I do also in practice is like every organization is having their inventory, right? Raw materials, and then from raw materials they prepare finished goods. So me along with my team, we also have started started since probably we're doing it since last 3-4 years. We are also tracking our skill inventory. So when I talk about skill inventory, we very closely are working with the business units and people who are actually closely working with customers, vendors, internal customers, internal stakeholders, investors, our Japan counterpart. So we are having discussions and focus group discussions, FGTs, wherein we download what is the requirement of current business scenario and how it looks like for the next short term and long term. We call it long term sales plan. So based on that we deliberate that what kind of diversification strategy our company is having. So today we are actually having business on 5-7 products. Another 5-7 products are going to get added. So these 5-7 products are game changers, for example, because the automotive industry is moving from ICE engine to hybrid and EV.
Yeah.
So what kind of products are going to be in place in terms of HMI, if I'm talking about human machine interface products. So wherein we have already started using AI. So for some reason I may not be able to name the product because we'll be the first ones to launch it in India. So this will be an amazing experience for the vehicle owners who drive those kind of vehicles for AI products, and we are manufacturing that at the moment right now. So these kind of products which we have never manufactured, we are challenging ourselves, we are challenging the industry, and we have taken a challenge to the customer, from the customer also. So partnering with this, developing a supplier base, we know exactly where we want to go. And the skill inventory which I talked about is telling us what we have. So if you minus these two things, we know exactly what we need. So if you talk about our future, if you talk about my company's future right now, how much it is secured in terms of financial, areas, how much it is secured in terms of my share of business, in terms of, how much adaptability I'm having, how much competitiveness I have. If we are doing these kind of research, that only will give you what kind of skills we require. And if you plot it in a graph versus potential and performance, you'll exactly know what potential we require. And then when we find the skill gap, then we find out who are the existing people who can take up. And there is something which you cannot have within your current organization. Then you get into the market. And if it is a new product, which has never been manufactured in India, then the job is more tougher
Right.
because nobody you'll find in India who have done it. So you have a bunch of expats coming out from other countries, and you have to pick and choose people who have potential to learn and do. So those kind of things also you have to do. So our L&D function is focusing more on that right now, in stabilizing the learning factor and collaborating with all the associates. So that is how we are actually getting to know that in next 5 years what exactly skills we require and what is the pace. The sad fact is it's not very easy to do it. It sounds very exciting as a strategy, but to execute it's very difficult. It's equally difficult. If I'll give you an example to you, for those kind of skills that I'm talking about, which are visionary game changers, we have planned to hire some 40 guys all across India. We ended up offering about 200. Only 16 we got.
Oh, see, look at this.
So 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 again, so the effort, the understanding, the depth of work is too high. So that is about futuristic I'm talking about. So when you have regular attritions or maybe some volume is increasing and you need to add more people to the team, that's a completely different subject. So there has to be teams who should work on research. There has to be team who should work what is going to happen. Then the collaboration should happen with HR, like I said, other functional heads, and the download should happen. So HR must know what is happening all across the business, and then accordingly they can find the skill inventory, the required skill, and the gap. So that's how the training, learning, and development of the plan can go ahead.
No, no, very interesting. In fact, capability framework and those kind of things that we have actually seen. But somebody who is now passionately explaining about skill inventory is like very interesting. And I think I'll give full credit to the manufacturing industry, because the way you are actually structured there, you actually go deeper and deep dive. Because today, when I interact with some of the HR leaders, so at times, oh yeah, okay, fine, something that business needs everything tomorrow, and therefore I'll also have to be accordingly defined by that. But here comes a framework that's it's brilliant. Before I get into the last question, maybe one continuation question of whatever the inputs that you have given, maybe to Dileep, is that Dileep, Priyadarshi highlighted that, okay, the industry 4.0 and everything are actually coming in now, right? And with so much of automation that's happening, and when you have the same existing resource, how do you actually upskill them to get aligned to the newer technology that are coming in? And then here also, how do you actually identify the skill gap that is actually required to be part of that? Or what are the kind of initiatives that you can actually take on that? Maybe your views will help us, Dilip.
Sure. With the present, these changing times, we in the past we used to talk about upskilling. Then we started talking about reskilling. I think this is in the present times we have to talk about new skilling. Right. So yeah,
Right.
and that is something exactly we are trying to look at. We also have a process where the skill matrix is being made available for every function, every department, and based upon that, those gaps are identified and people are getting trained on those lines. And reskilling is something which has been is a continuous program that runs across the group. As I was mentioning about ARSDC, Amara Skill Development Center, that is one initiative which has really helped us achieve those objectives in terms of upskilling. And the beauty here is it is again this upskilling programs are run by the employee itself, right? So there are identified trainers through a specific program. Again, we have something called Guru Shikshana, which is basically a train the trainer program, and people get to certified there, and they become the identified trainer that they are running various programs throughout the year, and few are also contributing to the upskilling of the workforce. So I think this is something every industry has to do it. Specifically when it comes to manufacturing sector, there is no other option for them with the changing technologies and the trends which are kind of coming up. You upskilling, new skilling has to be the priority for everyone, and we also accept that and working on those directions.
As you rightly pointed out, yeah, we have heard of upskilling and reskilling. Reskilling is that okay, fine, I am in one department, I will actually change myself. But then here comes the word of new skilling, very interesting. And that's the truth of the life, right? Today, because something new that comes in. I was talking to one of the other, one more large financial organization. They were actually giving a different example. Somebody who is used to go to a bank branch and do a deposit and then withdrawal of money with the form based, they are still not comfortable with the app-based money transfer and other stuff. And there's another set of people who are now coming in. They can do everything in an app in 30 seconds, but if you just give them the form, they're shocked. They do not know what to do. So here comes, it's actually a two distinct. So now within our organization, if you will have similar kind of a people, and this new skill part is really, really important because everything is going in that kind of a direction. And that's exactly what one of the automobile company whom I was interacting, they were actually saying, today the sales executives in an automobile showroom are not actually talking about okay, sir, this is my engine capacity, this is the speed that you can actually go, this is my variance within it. No, they're talking all the frills. Oh, sir, you can actually switch on your car without actually getting into the car. You can switch on your AC, and this is your SOS button if there is something. So it's all, it has become like, okay. So he was commenting that, okay, it looks like he's selling a smart phone over there. It's a smart, nothing but a smart car, right? So it's very interesting. I think some of these skills, when people don't accept it, they get outdated. And when they actually, they are our core people whom we actually want to, we'll go back to the previous one, whom we actually want to be with us for a long, and we want them to grow along with us. Great. I think the skill inventory and the new skilling, 2 points, real classic points. Yeah, Priyadarshi.
Yeah, one part, something coming to my mind, I would just add up to this discussion. Uh, uh, I think 3-4 months back, I was into campus, and I was just overseeing some kind of group discussions which were happening inside the campus. So the team asked me that why don't you give a subject or a topic for the student to discuss. So I gave them subject which says like, what about the educational certifications or degrees come with an expiry date? Like, for an example, all the medicines that come with an expiry date, right?
Yeah.
So let's say an engineer having an engineering degree and working on that degree for 20 long years or 30 long years. And, there comes a reskilling, upskilling, and new skilling exercise comes. So what I heard from all those students, many of them agreed that, you cannot, play your uh, trump with the same degree for the long run of 20-30 years in the changing world. So right now, whatever certifications that you are getting, so it may not have an expiry date, but it should have a renew date for at least. So like our driving licenses.
Yeah.
So it's very important that brings the practices to the academics, and I think this is something which probably we all should look at as professionals. So I
See,
thought I'll
skill,
just add up to
skill
this.
inventory, new skilling, and then now comes with a limited period. Okay. If you are actually coming to this particular period, end of this period, please upskill. Because then actually it sends the right message. Or otherwise, I will be thinking that, okay, yeah, no, I'm an engineer, I know it. But then actually things have changed in the last 2 decades. Maybe if I'm not, I will have a problem. And same thing, I would have actually come in last year only to the organization, but organization has invested and transformed with all industry automations, etc. If I'm not updated, I will be out of the race. So I think great points with respect to the skill part. In fact, I found this to be really, really valuable. And these are some of the things which actually every audience who's actually listening to this will be more interested to learn for. Because some of these things are like reality. This is the truth. Because it's coming from an industry expert, and this is exactly what we also look for. We can't have a person who's now actually having one skill and then, okay, fine, that's forever. You can actually have that. If you want job as your career option, you want to actually move to that direction, that okay, you want to grow in your life, you will have to be agile and you will have to actually pick up skills what can actually, because most of the time, Priyadarshi and Dileep, I have found that okay, the managerial qualities or the leadership qualities at times are actually being taken for granted. Somebody was proven in the individual role. When we actually upgrade the person, then we find that okay, oh God, we actually never realized that okay, this person should handle 25 team member, and then there he fails. That's also actually comes on along our side, right? The challenges. Okay, great. Maybe one last question. I think we touched upon this particular point a little while ago as well. What kind of a see today in India, the recent launched budget, there are a lot of skill programs what have been actually been launched, and the universities or the academics has to go to the industry and create a program has been recommended in the current budget. Now, is there anything else that we actually give as a recommendation? What kind of a policy change that is actually required for us to be successful and for to make our people successful in their life? So, any recommendations, Dilip, maybe your end from your end?
See, I think the budget perspective, definitely it is quite encouraging from an industry perspective. Some of the successful programs of the Indian government, if I have to quote, are the skill mission that they had started, and I think it's been running very, very successfully. We are also one of the beneficiary, and we are running various programs, and there is a lot of talent we are able to enroll to those schemes. So that is something which should kind of continue. And there was one more initiative that was brought in by the government of India, was the German dual education system, where the talent is undergoing in structure classroom training, as well as there is a mandatory requirement along with the their course. They should also have 6 months to 1 year of training on the job. While these are the process which are there, but they are there in the different format. Now, say, for example, when you have an apprentice scheme, which is basically happening after your course has been completed, wherein here dual system, you have to do it along with the course, and that makes them employable. I think something of the similar, stature, similar, structure of the scheme should be brought in, and that will be actually beneficial for the industry, as well as the demand on this skill gap will also get addressed.
Interesting point. I can correlate this with the medicine. All the fifth year students, after 4 years of house surgery, they have to become a house surgeon for you to get that practice. I think really great point, because at this point of time, yes, we don't have. The moment we give this, I think this will also arrest our problem with respect to some attrition that is actually happening, who do not have what is likely to coming on their way. But one of the problems that I have actually witnessing, or maybe this is also the recommendation that we can give, is the kind of, for example, from industry perspective, what we actually ask, this is really good, and this will actually help us to have the right set of people who are ready. It's like factory fit ready for the future. But in the institutions, do they have that infrastructure? Because currently one of the biggest challenge, and maybe even now in the budget scheme, this is also the another point that government has introduced, scaling up the infrastructure of the institutions. Because somebody who is working in maybe other than maybe your top 25 institutions, which are maybe even, let's take even ITA or polytechnics, others, the students do not visualize what is likely there in a factory environment. and that's the biggest challenge. I think if this kind of a Dilip,
Yeah, like one more aspect that I think I would like to recommend, which we are not seeing much, is the STEM approach in our education system, where one go through the training on the entire perspective of the subjects that would include your science or technology, engineering, and mathematics, which is still we see in India. It's not been practiced much. Where in some of the Western and the European countries, it has been adopted at the very large extent. But in India, I mean I have not seen this much in our education system. So something that if somebody asks me, this would be my kind of like recommendation.
Superb, Dilip. 2 points I've taken. One is on the dual system model, so that the institutions actually produce along with the expertise or experience that is required for the factory model or the plant model. And the STEM part, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. Interesting. Thank you, Dilip. I think maybe Priyadarshi. Yeah.
Yeah, from recommendation side, if you see, I think government right now is trying to understand what exactly is the problem at ground level. And let me tell you how it happens. If you talk about both blue collar and white collar employees, the mobility is too high right now. People are no longer working in the same state they are born. So if you see, all the states we are having right now are having different minimum wages. Okay, so just imagine somebody moving out from a higher minimum wages state to a lower minimum wages state, or a state having higher minimum wages is getting crowded with a lot of people migrating into that particular state. So it will actually imbalance the entire economic scenario of somebody's earning, somebody who is at a minimum wages survival. So I think government should look at this as a problem and understand based on the consumer price index, they should fix something as a minimum wages, though there is a DA increase that happens every year. That is one. And second, I think I'm eagerly looking forward to have this implementation of wage code or labor code. You say, where the four codes which are already declared long back. So probably I was thinking that after this election process, this will be declared now. This some issues, some states are actually very much eager in implementing this. So when the wage code comes into picture, the long pending uh, old labor laws will get replaced by a new need of the hour laws, okay, you can say. So there, one thing that is very interesting is FTE, which is being proposed, fixed term employment.
Yeah.
So in India, that is something which is very needed. It's need of the hour, you can say. So we should allow people to work for the certain period what they want to. Like for an example, someone comes to the organization and wants to work for 3 years time, 4 years time, and comes, goes back and finds out a different organization. So those kind of FT programs will come into picture if the labor codes are being approved and eagerly implemented. So I think minimum wages, creating an equilibrium between all the states, because the labor migration is too much, and this FT. These are two. As a professional, I would recommend from my side.
Great points. In fact, yes, whatever that has already been declared, shared, if that gets implemented itself, will actually solve some of the initial problem statements that we are actually facing. Great. I think we had a wonderful session. We started with the employment overall holistic perspective. We went to the employability. That's where our core discussion actually happened in terms of skill part. Finally, we ended up with doing ease of doing business. Because in order to have the ease of doing business, what kind of a changes and recommendation that will help us, organization like us, and then to have the right people with us and to upskill them. I think it was a overwhelming points that we actually got. I think the points were absolutely invaluable. I really enjoyed this session. Thank you, Dileep, and thank you, Priyadarshi, for sharing your insights. I think the people who are going to watch on this session will definitely have a lot of insights, and the passion in which you both were actually explaining was like amazing. Thank you so much, Dileep. Thank you so much, Priyadarshi.